from Allah? Just look at it, folks. After 9/11, and I was already a da'i during 9/11, I couldn't get books. What a blessing. What a problem to have. You know why? All the Americans were reading them. I couldn't get them. I was calling different suppliers. I need this book and that book. And then we're sold out, brother. MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar. I can be patient about that. The context of these passages refer to controversies and discussions, but the words are broad enough to cover all human struggles, disputes, and fights. The equity of Islam prohibits one from giving a worse blow than is received. But if we recognize that it's all coming from Allah, there is no blow to give, because Allah only gives na'am. Allah only gives favors. Which of the favors of your Lord do you deny? So somebody decides to implode a building, and we get blamed for it. And then we get mad because we get blamed for it. Meanwhile, 20,000 people became Muslim after that. Allahu Akbar. Nothing to be mad about, nothing to be impatient about. Bring them on, but let's love them. Let's nurture them. Let's empower them. Because after all, the greatest Muslims were converts. The Sahaba were converts, folks. I was doing some counseling for somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they went home and they told their family, well, Imam Sykes told me something. They said, well, he doesn't know anything. He's a convert. Yeah. They're impatient with me. Why don't they come to me and nurture me? Put their arm around and say, you stupid convert, let me teach you something. No, they just want to castigate me. You know, I'm just going to love them, man. When I said I love you, when I found out who it was, I said, I love you for the sake of Allah, brother. Salaam alaikum. Give me some love, brother. And I hugged him. And then the sins fell off like leaves from the tree. I helped him get redemption. Because I obeyed Allah and I was patient. All the prophets did the same thing. They had sabr. That takes sabr. Allahu Akbar. Is that 10 minutes past? Oh, that's incorrect. Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Okay. And Surah 5 verse 45 says, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but forgiveness is better. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His tremendous mercy, grace, and wisdom, recognizes that all of us are on different stations Islamically, in different places Islamically. So I might not be there yet. So if somebody gives me a black eye, I got to give them one. But can I give them two? No, because that's transgressing the limits. And then that means I have disobeyed Allah, because He said don't transgress the limits. But He said an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but so if I have sabr, I'm going to say peace on you, brother. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. I got my little black eye. Alhamdulillah. Believers who have attained a higher spiritual standard do not retaliate. They return evil with what? Good. They restrain themselves and are patient. Many think that such patience gives an advantage to the adversary. This verse speaks to the contrary. The advantage is with the patient, the self-controlled, those who do not lose their temper or forget their own principles of conduct. One of the biggest things that I feel people need to learn is the difference between feelings and anger. And I'm going to give the example that I like to use. A lot of people think that anger and feelings are the same thing.
The good markers up there.
Okay. So I'm going to give an example. Let's just say that I'm giving a lecture in the masjid and somebody walks in and says, Imam Sykes is stealing money from the masjid. I'm not. And I come down, and what would most people, I mean, you guys have been around for a while, what would most people do?
Get in their face.
Get in their face, and I've actually, for the first, let me tell you, after I became a Muslim, I saw fights. I'd never seen a fight in a church. I saw physical fights. Anybody else ever seen it, or I'm the only one? 1, 2, okay.
The masjid?
At the masjid, yes ma'am. They tried to attack me in Rocky Mountain, in the masjid.
Typically on the men's side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women's side.
So on the women's side. Let's get back to the point. Now let's say I come down and I say, well, it takes a thief to know a thief. Now I'm the imam now, I'm the model. What's he going to say back to that?
He's gonna have a mouthful then.
Come on, help me out, folks. Anybody here criticize me for anything?
I will not.
Just for the sake of learning. If Santa says to me, you ugly, I said, well, you ugly too. That's called attack, defend. Are we going to get anywhere? If Santa said, you wood ugly dude, I say, Santa, did I do anything to hurt you, sister? Have I said anything to offend you? That really hurts my feelings. Get yourself down, ugly. But now when you honest, sister, now, you see, this is a city girl here, that's why I chose her. What would happen, sister, really, if I said to you, sister, did I do anything to offend you? That really hurts my feelings. Most of the time, if you share your feelings, you will take the wind out of the sail of an attacker. But if you attack them back, they're going to defend. And it's just going to keep going. Ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. But when you share your feelings, it usually shifts things. Now, in certain places, in certain cultures, you can't talk about your feelings. If you're a gangster, Bloods and the Crips, you don't call and say, brother, you know, that really hurt my feelings when you initiated me and you were pounding me in the face and kicking me in the stomach. But for the predominantly, 99.7% of the time, if you express your feelings, which is a sign of sabr, please, what will happen? You will take the wind out of the other person's sail. So who has the most power? The one who shares their feelings or the one who reacts?
The one that shares your feelings.
Exactly. An action solicits another action. Typically, feelings make people ponder and reflect. How many people have experienced that in their life? How many people disagree with that? Now, interestingly enough, somebody came to me for the first time in counseling, and on their biopsychosocial, which is an intake that we take from them, they said, I want to learn to say what I think. That's not a good idea. That's not healthy. So we quickly, one of the lessons, the first lesson was about feeling. Learn to express your feelings. What is the feeling behind the anger? So for example, the reaction, what does that convey? Anger about an unmet need, right? What you need to convey is what's under here. What am I feeling? Because that's really me. But when I act angry, is that really me? I'm hurt. But I'm acting like Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Machismo. Have I got it right, Machismo? Yeah. Machismo? Is that it? Oh, macho. Macho man. But when I actually share my feelings, I get a different thing, don't I? It takes sabr to do that, and it takes a shaitan to do the other. These verses lay down the principles of conduct in controversy for all Muslims. Somehow, this has not been taught. And just to tell you how bad it is, in the last 2 years I've lost 5 students because of conduct at the masjid. I was so happy when adults were coming here that were reverts and their children were going to the masjid. But I lost 5 students because of the way their children were treated at the masjid. In the last 2 years, 5 converts. I said, I can't bring my children to that masjid. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and early believers exercised patience and self-restraint under circumstances of extraordinary provocation. Now let's look at the world today. We have people now that are driving on I-4 and somebody accidentally cuts them off and they pull out a gun. Call it drive-by shootings. Road rage. And if you think that I'm talking about non-Muslims, I tell you what to do. Just stand in the parking lot of this masjid after Jummah and watch the transactions. Watch Muslims when the police say, could you stop please? Little donuts and all kinds of stuff. Well, not donuts, that's when the car goes around, but they squill a wheel, you know. Burn the rubber. How many people are a witness to what I'm saying? No sabr. Humans sometimes are deluded to believe that forbearance and self-restraint are weakness. The prophet, as a shepherd to the people, had to defend his people as well as himself against the enemy's persecution. You see, as a leader, when we see provocation coming, we have to diffuse situations for others as well. But what do we often do? We do something, and I've got 2 other therapists in the room here. We do something called triangulation. So, me and Brother Bassam, we're trying to get something done. Brother Bassam goes over to the masjid. I get over there, Brother Bassam tells me, you know what they said? What? We're gonna show them something. Then we start walking, we get all proud. Now Brother Bassam never did that because he's my right-hand man. I'm using him as an example. But do you relate to what I'm saying? It's called triangulation. Now we go to get him. Never mind what the verses say about sabr. Now we are going to get somebody. You know there's power in numbers, right? But spiritual power comes in vulnerability. Spiritual power comes in patience, in sabr. I'm not trying to get power over people. The only kind of power I want is the kind of power that I'm going to get paradise. That's the power that I want. And that is alive in vulnerability. He is instructed here not to entertain such fear. He is instructed that patience with constancy in those circumstances is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands. I have to be very patient. As many of you know, I have a certificate in marriage and family. Many times in this community, people have come to me and then I got blamed for breaking up a marriage. Oh, people have said all kinds of things. He says, because he doesn't understand our culture. No, it's because I asked the right question to help people understand what they're getting into. Because people aren't educated about marriage. And it's the foundation of your life and it's half of faith. And we need to do it with hikmah, with wisdom, with guidance, with coaching. He was instructed not to grieve if they rejected Allah's message. How many of us get angry when somebody doesn't accept Islam? Stupid brother can't. I've been making dawah to him I don't know how long, and he's blind. And we get mad. We get mad because our families don't love us because we became Muslim. And the verses address all of this. How can I expect my mother, who is a fundamentalist Baptist, to fall in love with me me after I say there's only one God, Mama, and Jesus didn't die on the cross. I'm the one that has to have the patience. I've got to have sabr with her and understand that I can understand why she can't understand what I'm understanding. He was instructed in verse 127, distress not. Let not your heart be troubled if they hatch secret plots against you and your people. For Allah is with those who restrain themselves and those who do good.
I thought you wanted to stop at 12:15.
Yes.
We'll have 30 minutes. So thank you, I did. I just got happy about this. All right, so this is where we stopped.
Can we
So
end the class so I can
that
stop?
we will finish the class at 15:56. Is this
15:56,
number? Yes.
got
I
it.
love you all for the sake of Allah. Stay tuned. We're going to have our Jeopardy